Well, hey YouTube, welcome back to CPTV. I am Andrew, and I'm joined once again by Brianna. Hey, Brianna.
Hey, Andrew.
How's it going?
It's good.
We're back for episode number 2 on how to maximize using your phone to create the best content possible.
Yes, and so this episode, we're going to jump into best practices of using your phone and, of course, the settings to get the best content.
Right, so we are going to specifically focus on iPhone in this tutorial video, but if you want Android, we got you covered. Yes. So let's get into it. So the first thing we want to talk about is obviously which orientation do you film for which social media platform that you are going to post on. So can you kind of touch on that?
Yeah, of course. So for any social media, right now the craze is vertical, so you would kind of film this way. And of course, YouTube is still catering to the horizontal view, but they do have shorts, so you can also record vertical as well. So you can kind of like repurpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the word. Okay.
There you go.
So you can repurpose your videos that you're probably using on Reels for Instagram, Facebook Reels, and push those over to YouTube Shorts, which actually helps with your channel as a whole, and post vertical. But of course, if you're doing long form on YouTube, it's going to be horizontal this way, and your phone would automatically record with whatever orientation you're holding.
Right. And if you are on an amazing vacation and you happen to shoot some great footage that is horizontal, don't worry, because you could always crop that to make it fit the orientation of TikTok or YouTube Shorts or like Instagram, something like that.
Yeah, it's actually funny you say TikTok because TikTok is now pushing horizontal videos.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, they're now pushing horizontal videos. So you may stumble across some people who are actually posting TikToks that look like this, like you're watching YouTube.
Wow.
So.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the best settings on your phone, okay? So we're going to throw up some graphics on the screen as we talk. But Brianna, how do we, first of all, on the iPhone specifically, how do we change our settings in the phone itself?
Okay, so you could do two different ways. So you would go to settings and you would scroll all the way down and go to camera. Mm-hmm. And when you go there, you'll see record video. Your phone might already be set to 4K at 30 FPS, which FPS means frame per second. But if you go ahead and put it to 4K at 60 FPS, it's going to be high efficiency, which means it's going to be a higher resolution and way smoother, but it will take up more space. But your content would look really, really good and like really crisp. Almost like the person that's looking at it could kind of jump through the phone a little bit.
Yeah, it's really high resolution. The other thing about changing your FPS is that if you shoot in 60, if you decide that there's a clip that, let's say, I don't know, you're walking up to a cruise ship and you want a really beautiful slow motion shot, you would want it to you want to film in 60 frames per second, because when you slow it down, it'll be super smooth. You can still slow anything down, 24 frames per second, 30 frames per second, but if you want it to look super professional, you want to shoot in 60. Yeah.
Yep. So you would do that. Other than that, you could turn on HDR.
That's high dynamic range.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So that's an option, but
I think for social media, you don't really need to worry too much
You don't really
about
need it. But if you want to play with it, you can go ahead and do that. So that's in the settings. So you could do the same by launching your camera. You would have to be in the video mode, and in the upper right-hand corner, you would just tap until that second number goes to 60. So you could do that as well.
Mm-hmm. And once you're in your video camera mode, there are some little cool things that you can turn on to make the shot even better. So let's say, trying to put myself in an advisor's shoes. Let's say we're on a cruise and you want to highlight some of the food that you're being served, and you want it to look beautiful and crisp, but you don't necessarily want to see things in the background. So how would I do that?
Okay, so I would do that by going to cinematic, and then I would play with the depth. So you would go to cinematic, you would do a swipe up, and you're going to see this funny looking F. And so this is your depth. Yeah. If you move the slider to the right, your background becomes blurred. And if you move it to the left, everything will be in focus. So if you're trying to focus on your plate of food and you want to blur everything out, you will move your slider more to the right.
There you go. All right, so let's move off of video for a second and let's talk about photos. What are some settings we can change to create some beautiful photos?
Okay, so one really good tip I have for photos is playing with the exposure, especially if you are somewhere like sunny South Florida, or you may be on a cruise and the sun is out nice and pretty and you're trying to take a picture, but the sun is washing you out. You ever had that happen?
All the time.
And it's like the camera just won't focus. I like to play with the exposure. So you can do this two different ways. If you're on your camera already, you'll see a plus and a minus sign. So this is your exposure. If you tap on it and you bring it down to the left and in the negatives, it'll become darker. If you slide it over to the right, more in the positives, it would become lighter. But what some people don't know, if I'm like pointing my camera and say that sun might be washing out my subject, all I have to do is kind of tap on the person and the camera will kind of adjust it on its own.
You can even tap on at least on the iPhone, you can tap on the person and then click the little sun, and then you can do it right through there.
Right there. And then you can kind of figure out, what's the best kind of place for you to stop playing with the exposure. But I feel like this is a really good tip that some people just don't know if you tap the screen.
So now let's talk about, should we zoom into our subject?
Okay, no. So another tip for photo and video zooming, no. It's better for you to actually get closer to the subject opposed to zooming, because then you lose quality. Same thing for post, which means when you're about to post it on social or anything, no cropping or anything like that, because then you lose the quality of the beautiful picture that you took. So it's better to get closer.
Carefully.
Carefully. Make sure you don't walk in front of anybody else.
Right.
And get closer to the subject instead of zooming in on your phone, because you kind of see when you zoom in, it starts to get very pixelated.
Sure.
And ugly looking.
Right.
So we don't want that.
Okay.
Clear photos only.
Clear photos only. Clear Photo Club.
Yes. Clear Photo Club. So what about editing, Andrew? Do you have any tips for us?
Of course. All right. So let's say we take a photo, and I'm actually going to show you this one that I took of Perfect Day at Coco Cay, on the last Royal Caribbean cruise that I went on. And it's pretty self-explanatory. It is a shot from the balcony, and it looks nice. I don't think it's necessarily grabbing anyone's attention, but it's a fine enough photo. So now I'm going to show you how to make this photo pop, so it grabs everyone's attention, and you make all of those bookings, right?
Okay.
All right. So we are going to hit, once you've captured the photo and in your camera roll, your photo gallery, you're going to click Edit in the top right, okay? Then you're going to be presented with a lot of options, okay? I do not recommend using the auto little magic wand, because let's do it ourselves. You have way more control, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our finger and swipe over to exposure, and we're going to make the exposure however you want, a little bit lighter, just to make the images pop, because this is a beautiful, beautiful scene that I captured. But again, this photo's not doing it for me. The water doesn't look super blue, so we're going to change the exposure. Brilliance, we're just going to play around. You're not going to break anything, so just play with all of them, right?
Yeah, you can always go back, right?
You can, and I'll show you how to do that as well. So let's just bring the brilliance up a little bit. We can play with the highlights, maybe bring that down so our water is now blue, even bluer, right? Shadows, same thing. Just play with it, guys. You're not going to break it, okay? So let's make the brightness a little bit. Now here's my favorite one, saturation. Now if I take this one, okay? And I move my slider all the way to the right. Now
look at that water.
Right? Look at the difference there. So again, you can play with this. You're not going to, just use your best judgment, to make the photo pop. So let's hit done. So now we think, oh gosh, this looks terrible. I want to start over, okay? You're going to hit the edit, touch the edit button again. And then there's a red box that appears that says revert. Hit revert. Revert to original, and we're back to where we started from.
Oh, drab.
Drab and boring. No, so that's just another little tip for you to take photos and really make them pop, because when you post them, in the apps, like you can use Instagram filter. We're not about filters, though, right?
No,
I think we've moved on from filters in society.
We have. I think that now editing is it's helpful, because it can kind of like you said, pull people's attention, and that just a filter is just like, you didn't really try,
right?
You know, and then a filter doesn't go with every type of photo. You have a lot of blues, the sky, the water,
right?
And I feel like some filters don't accompany these certain pictures, especially travel photos.
Exactly.
I think those filters are made for like selfies,
right.
You know, back in whenever Instagram came out, like 2011.
Right.
So I think doing it like that would be very helpful. I'm probably even going to start trying to edit in my...
And the best part about this is you don't need to buy any additional software. You don't need to go into Photoshop. You don't even need to go into Canva. You don't need to, it's all built right into the phone. So when you post these photos, they're going to grab attention.
Yes. I definitely would stop and look at that photo.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Right?
This one, not so much.
Really? It's not that bad.
The
it
water
could be so much
pull
better.
Me in.
It
it's
doesn't.
The blue, when you edit it in the blue of the water in the sky, like you said, it kind of just pops. And there's so many colors in there. Like,
yeah, and it doesn't have to just be, you know, a beautiful picture of Coco Cay. If you're in Alaska, you know, you have the beautiful mountains, the trees, everything. Saturation
helps everything.
Helps everything.
So another great practice is to make sure that you do have enough content to start with. To make sure that it's not too bright, not too dark, and in focus, because those things you cannot fix in editing, unfortunately.
And you can never have enough photos and videos.
You can never have enough content. So if you think you have enough, you probably don't. You should go back and take a few more shots, and then you probably have enough.
Yeah.
And lastly, I think another good thing to do before you go on any type of trip, ship tour, anything where you know that you'll be taking a lot of pictures and videos is checking your storage, because you would hate to get that annoying, pesky message in the middle of shooting some great content.
And we've all gotten it, and I can go show you a quick little tip to check how much storage you have. So if you, again, on iPhone, if you go into your settings, touch General, and then iPhone storage, and you can see how much storage you have left. It might shock you. It's kind of shocking me. But you can certainly go through, if you send messages that have big files in them, big videos, those are pretty, I would just say...
Kind of get rid of them.
Yeah, because they're probably already in your photo gallery anyway.
Yeah, especially messages. You could kind of change the settings so that your messages don't save. Like, I used to be the person that had messages from 2017, so I had to just put on that 30-day automatic, they just delete my messages type of thing. And I send videos to my friends a lot, so I have 7 gigs of stuff taken up.
Me too. I have 8
right now. 8 gigs.
Yeah. Yep.
So make sure you go ahead and just kind of do some spring cleaning.
Especially before you go on an amazing trip.
Yeah.
So we want to thank you all for joining us today. We hope these little tips, maybe you learned something that you didn't know, that will only help you create better content to share with your clients. So Bree, thanks for joining me again.
Thank you.
Bye everyone. See you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. For exclusive offers and a complete personalized experience, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell for post notifications.